Right. Today we're pulling back the curtain on a figure as enigmatic as he was brilliant, a real scientific iconoclast.
Definitely.
We're diving into the extraordinary life of Richard Feynman. Now, he's a name synonymous with genius, but also famously described as half genius and half buffoon.
Which is quite a description.
It really is. You might know him as a Nobel Prize-winning physicist, maybe a bongo player, or even, and this is great, a master safecracker.
He contained multitudes, didn't he?
He really did. So our mission today is to explore how his relentless curiosity, his very unconventional way of learning, and that unwavering skepticism didn't just reshape physics, but maybe fundamentally change how we understand knowledge itself.
Yeah. And what's truly fascinating here is how all these seemingly disparate parts of his personality came together. They created this scientific powerhouse. We'll be drawing a lot from James Gleick's Genius, The Life and Science of Richard Feynman. And our goal really is to take you on a journey through his formative years, those groundbreaking scientific contributions, and his huge impact.
Right.
Showing you how his unique mind was constantly challenging the status quo, providing those aha moments for, generations of learners. He was always pushing the boundaries of what we really understood.
Okay, so let's start right at the beginning, the foundations that shaped this singular mind. Picture young Richard growing up in Far Rockaway, New York. It was this kind of captivating blend of country and city out on Long Island's South Shore, a place where kids had, remarkable freedom. They could just roam through backyards, empty lots.
Establishing their own paths.
Exactly, exploring far from their parents' immediate watch. This environment, where autonomy was just part of daily life, it really fostered a deep sense of curiosity in him, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. And it's crucial to understand how that early freedom, that chance to explore and manipulate his environment, how much that impacted him.
No, so.
Well, take his fascination with radios. It wasn't just a hobby. It was a deep dive into how things worked.
Right.
He saw the radio as its own map, a diagram of itself, a system where the parts sort of express their function once he learned to decode the wires, the resistors, capacitors.
So he was reverse engineering it in his head.
Kind of, yeah. He built a crystal set, pulled signals from, Waco, Texas, all from under his bed covers.
Wow.
And he had his lab and a wooden crate in his bedroom, complete with electrical switches, lights he'd wired himself.
That's incredible.
And his younger sister, Joan. She was his 4 cents a week lab assistant, bravely putting her finger in a spark gap to see the electricity.
Oh my goodness, brave indeed.
So this early hands-on tinkering, it exposed him to the unseen, powerful forces of the electromagnetic field.
Sure.
That's a stark contrast to the purely mechanical world of gears and wheels in a watch.
Yeah. So how revolutionary was that hands-on, self-taught approach then? Especially when physics was getting so abstract, dealing with these unseen forces, did it set him apart?
It absolutely did. That direct experiential learning. It became a cornerstone of his later scientific method.
Okay.
While a lot of physicists back then were grappling with the abstract idea of the electromagnetic field, maybe still trying to fit it into some kind of mechanical ether theory.
Right, the ether.
Feynman's early experiences with radio signals gave him this intuitive, almost physical feel for these invisible forces. He wasn't just solving equations on paper. He was, feeling the physics.
Feeling the physics, I like that.
It instilled in him this powerful belief that real understanding came from doing, observing, and then building a mental model, not just from manipulating symbols on a page.
And that insistence on fundamental understanding, that was really hammered home by his father, Melville, right? He played a huge role.
Oh, crucial. His father taught him to constantly ask why, to question assumptions, even about simple things.
Like the wagon story.
Exactly. The red wagon anecdote. Richard asks why the ball rolls to the back when he pulls the wagon forward. Melville explains inertia, but then, and this is key, he honestly admits nobody knows why it's true.
Just that it is true.
Precisely. And that wasn't just a childhood lesson. It became a cornerstone of Feynman's whole scientific philosophy. He got it that at some deep level, explanations have to end. And it's essential to recognize what you are permitted to understand at that point. It's not just humility. It's like a profound insight into how knowledge works.
Okay.
Pushing explanations to their absolute limit, but accepting those irreducible truths when you hit them. It's a blueprint for real intellectual honesty. And it drove him to relentlessly pursue fundamental principles, peeling back layers until he hit that core "it just does" of nature, instead of settling for easy answers.
Amazing. So by 15, he'd mastered trig and calculus. He even took over his geometry class.
Yeah, the story goes his teacher, Mr. Augsbury, just recognized his aptitude was way beyond the rest of the class.
But his path wasn't totally smooth sailing, was it? College admissions.
No, not at all. He faced anti-Semitic quotas, got turned down by Columbia before MIT finally accepted him.
And even at MIT, that independent streak came through.
Oh, yeah. He encountered the elegant principle of least action, a computational shortcut in physics.
Right. Finds the most economical path.
Exactly. But he initially resisted it. He preferred the laborious way, calculating all the individual forces. Why? Because he felt he would not feel he understood the real physics otherwise.
Wow. That really shows his deeply intuitive, hands-on need to understand, not just calculate.
It really does. That deep, almost stubborn need to grasp things from the ground up, not just use shortcuts. It clearly never left him.
So how did that play out later? Like for his Princeton qualifying exams, that must have been daunting.
He stuck to his guns. When prepping for those exams, he created this now legendary Notebook of Things I Don't Know About.
Love that title.
Isn't it great? He systematically rebuilt physics from first principles, wrote down everything he thought he knew, then challenged himself. Could he derive it?
So testing his own foundations.
Exactly. It was his way of reorganizing knowledge, not just memorizing stuff. Making sure he truly understood the roots of every single concept. A total testament to that early learning philosophy.
Okay, now here's where it gets really interesting. The wartime era, Los Alamos.
Manhattan Project.
Feynman's the youngest group leader there, right at the epicenter of history. He was there during the Trinity test, the first atomic bomb detonation, apparently frantically trying to fix a radio for the observation plane.
Yeah, imagine the pressure.
And when the bomb went off, he chose to watch the flash through a truck's windshield, smart move to block UV, and he registered the physics acoustically, hearing that solid thunder roll through the hills.
But amidst all that monumental, world-changing work, he was also carrying immense personal grief.
Right. His wife, Arlene.
Yeah, she was battling tuberculosis in a sanatorium nearby in Albuquerque. They had this pact, no lies, which led to his agony over this false glandular fever diagnosis doctors and family pushed, trying to spare her feelings.
Oh, that must have been torture for him.
Totally. It's so poignant. He carried a goodbye love letter he planned to give her when she inevitably found out the truth. And years after she died, he saw a pretty dress in a shop window and just wept, thinking Arlene would like that.
Wow. That deep emotional toll contrasting so sharply with his outward persona, the carefree genius.
Exactly. It's heartbreaking. But even in that period of immense grief, his mind was just relentlessly active, which led to some really unique and, frankly, surprising contributions to the war effort.
Like what? Beyond the core physics?
Well, he was key in organizing the human computers. Mostly scientists' wives, actually.
Really?
Yeah, he set them up in a kind of factory assembly line to process these incredibly complex calculations, basically breaking down calculus into algorithmic steps anyone could follow.
That's brilliant organizational thinking.
It was. And get this, he even programmed the new IBM punch card machines they got to clatter out the rhythm of well-known songs. A bit of his musicality showing up in the strangest place.
Okay, so Nobel laureate, bongo player, human computer organizer, and a master safecracker. What a resume. Did he ever, get caught doing that?
Remarkably, he never really faced serious trouble for it. His knack for safecracking at Los Alamos, it came from realizing, as he put it, people are predictable. They'd often leave combinations at factory settings or use birthdays, stuff like that. It let him access sensitive documents. He'd often leave little notes behind, you should change your combination.
So more mischief in proving a point than anything malicious.
Seems like it. Maybe a way to cope with the immense pressure and grief he was under. He said he felt like he was leading a double life, hiding all that inner turmoil beneath this facade of brilliance and fun.
Right. So after the war, he goes back to Academia Cornell, then Caltech. And he keeps challenging things, especially in quantum theory. He struggled with the infinities problem, right? Where calculations just gave nonsense results.
Yeah, infinities popping up everywhere. It was a huge roadblock in quantum electrodynamics, QED. Calculations were giving senseless, infinite answers for basic things, like an electron's mass or charge.
So what did he do?
His mind went back to that old friend, the principle of least action. But he applied it in a radically new way. To quantum mechanics.
Oh.
Well, he developed something called path integrals. Basically, a formulation of quantum mechanics that didn't just look at the single most efficient path a particle could take.
The least action path.
Right. Instead, it summed up the contributions of every conceivable path a particle could possibly take through space-time.
Every path? That sounds infinitely complicated.
It does. But this pictorial semi-vision thing, as he called it, wasn't just abstract math. It led directly to his famous Feynman diagrams.
Ah, the diagrams. Everyone's seen those little squiggly lines.
Exactly. They visualized particle interactions. Suddenly, these really complex interactions could be, well, drawn out, almost like a cartoon. It simplified the calculations dramatically.
So these diagrams, they weren't just about making the math easier. Did they fundamentally change how physicists thought about particles bumping into each other?
They absolutely did. His approach, this sort of patchwork of guesses and intuition, some people initially found it intellectually repulsive. Julian Schwinger, another giant who solved QED differently, wasn't a fan at first.
Really? Repulsive?
Well, it lacked the mathematical rigor Schwinger preferred.
Yeah.
But Feynman's way eventually revolutionized the field because it made calculations not just doable, but intuitive.
Okay.
It was so effective that Schwinger himself later said something like the silicon chip, the Feynman diagram was bringing computation to the masses.
Wow. High praise.
It wasn't just a new tool, it was a whole new way of thinking, of seeing the underlying physics. It just permeated the community, a real testament to how visualizing a problem, even a super abstract one, can unlock breakthroughs and, democratize understanding.
So having revolutionized how physicists understood the universe, he then turns his unique approach to teaching it, became this legendary educator.
At Caltech.
Famous for the Feynman lectures on physics, the Red Books, everyone calls them, and his unconventional Physics X seminar, where undergrads could ask literally any scientific question.
Total open forum.
And his core belief, his mantra almost, if I couldn't reduce it to the freshman level, that meant we really don't understand it. You can really hear his father's why echoing there, can't you?
Absolutely, that insistence on clarity.
Yeah.
He also served on the California Textbook Commission, and he fiercely criticized the new math trends back then.
Why? What was his issue?
He hated introducing new definitions for the sake of definition.
Yeah.
Like explaining sets of lollipops instead of just asking if there are enough lollipops.
Yep.
He championed clarity over unnecessary jargon. Always.
Makes sense.
And if you connect this to the bigger picture, Feynman, even though he kind of railed against formal philosophy, he engaged really deeply with the nature of explanation itself.
Oh, so?
He had this idea, you could call it a bootstrap model of explanation. When you ask why something happens, you delve deeper and deeper into layers of phenomena.
Right, peeling the onion.
Exactly. Until eventually you reach a point where the answer is simply, it does. That's just how it is.
Like his father said about inertia.
Precisely. He often says something like, I really can't do a good job explaining the electromagnetic force in terms of something you're more familiar with, because I don't understand it in terms of anything else that you're more familiar with.
So comfort with the limits of explanation.
Yes. Recognizing that fundamental principles ultimately stand on their own. Knowing when you've hit that fundamental level is just as important as the journey to get there. Some truths are just irreducible.
Fascinating. Okay, then later in his life, he's battling cancer, and he reluctantly gets pulled into the commission investigating the Challenger space shuttle disaster.
Reluctantly is putting it mildly. He famously told his wife, "You're ruining my life," by accepting the role. He knew the time it would demand, especially with his health failing.
But he threw himself into it.
Completely, with that relentless skepticism.
And his contribution was huge, wasn't it?
Absolutely pivotal. He just kept questioning NASA officials about the effects of cold weather on the O-rings. Relentlessly.
And then the famous demonstration.
Oh, yeah. Iconic. So simple. A C-clamp, a piece of O-ring material, and a glass of ice water. Live on TV, he just showed the world how the rubber lost its resiliency in the cold.
Cut right through the technical jargon.
Exactly. But maybe his most important contribution went beyond just the O-rings. It was exposing NASA's shockingly vague style of risk assessment.
What do you mean?
He called it a kind of Russian roulette. He critiqued how successful past flights, despite O-ring erosion, had actually led them to lower their safety standards.
Yeah.
A really dangerous cycle.
Normalization of deviance, they call it now.
Right. And he insisted on including his own personal addendum in the commission's report. It highlighted management failures and communication breakdowns that the main report kind of glossed over. He made sure the full truth was on the record.
Wow. Truth to power, right to the end. His scientific contributions were just so incredibly diverse, too. Superfluidity describing liquid helium as dry water.
Yeah, such a Feynman description.
Groundbreaking work in genetics, challenging fundamental symmetries with parity violation. He always prioritized fundamental understanding and critical thinking above everything else.
Turned down numerous honorary degrees, resisted admin duties, anything that might distract from his holy curiosity of inquiry, as he called it.
He really embodied that unique blend, didn't he? Intellectual rigor mixed with this playful iconoclasm.
Totally. He showed that true genius isn't necessarily some innate quality you're born with. It's more about a relentless, unconventional engagement with the world.
A way of being.
Exactly. A scientist who lived by his own rules, driven by this insatiable desire to understand, to see things from first principles, and just strip away all the pretense. His legacy isn't just the equations or the diagrams. It's that unwavering commitment to intellectual honesty and the pure, unadulterated joy of discovery.
It's truly astonishing how all those facets, the childhood tinkering, Los Alamos, the Challenger Commission, they all point back to that single driving force. Just relentless, almost childlike curiosity. This has been a fascinating journey into the mind of Richard Feynman. He really showed us that science isn't just about equations or formulas, is it?
Not at all.
It's about a way of thinking, a relentless curiosity, a willingness to question everything, and that insistence on understanding from first principles, even if it meant admitting, look, I don't know why.
And his life reminds us that these profound insights, they often pop up from unexpected places. That true understanding means knowing not just what something is, but why it matters. And crucially, when to admit the limits of our knowledge.
Right.
He was always pushing against those limits, whether in physics or just in life. And that's a powerful lesson for all of us, I think.
Definitely. So Feynman taught us to fill a notebook of things I don't know about. It makes you think, what questions are you accepting at face value today? Where could a little bit of Feynman's spirit open up a whole new way of seeing the world? And maybe what personal infinities, what confusing problems in your own life might you shrink just by trying to start from scratch?